This has to do with rock and roll. We just heard the story about Axl Rose. Now, the tradition has been that when Guns N' Roses plays the song, you say Paradise City? Mm-hmm. It's their final song of the night. He takes the microphone and throws it into the audience, tosses into the audience.
I'm guessing it's wireless.
I'd hope. Wouldn't you think?
Well, you could take home all those big Marshall amps behind you.
Everything's attached.
Do you think that maybe a technician comes out after and just
reels it back in?
I'm going to need that cable, ma'am.
Right. Ma'am,
throw that back up here.
Axl's not supposed to do that. These are expensive.
I think it's a good point. A drumstick is one thing. A microphone is expensive. That's a concert microphone.
And they throw the drumsticks usually when they break. Because usually the drummer will snap a couple of sticks during a show, so they just fling the broken ones.
That's a little different than throwing a microphone. You know,
microphones are heavy.
That's a lot. It's like a tennis player might sign a tennis ball and give it to you. His racket is a little something different. That's a lot. So anyhow, he throws it out into the audience, as is customary. After 30 years, he's been doing it. And it hits an Adelaide woman in the face, breaking her nose, giving her black eyes. So the question is, and he has said, I'm not going to do that
That's
anymore.
my last mic toss.
So a lot of us, I think, a lot of the Guns N' Roses fans say, why? It's one woman from Adelaide. Mm-hmm. What do we care? One woman's not paying attention. So what? We have Lisa Lanier on the line with a couple of questions. One, could she sue Axl Rose for throwing an object at her? I mean, could she get her medical bills paid at the very least? Mm-hmm. And two, I think they should continue to do it, but post on the stage, objects may fly at your face.
Microphones coming your way.
That's right, at the end of the night. Lisa Lanier can comment on this. Hello, Lisa. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I hope you guys are.
Doing well. Are you a Guns N' Roses fan?
I am, yeah. And I thought it was really sweet that Axl Rose he felt really terrible for hurting this lady. Mm-hmm. And even though it happened in Australia, their civil justice system is similar to ours. She could make a claim for the injuries. I don't think she's going to. It didn't sound like. Or maybe he probably reached out to her individually and said, let me take care of you, because he felt so terrible about it.
Yeah.
But it is, there's a lot of liability associated with things like this. And it's, there have been injury claims, and they're largely successful from stage diving, throwing things, throwing objects. And so they do that with a great deal of potential risk if they undertake that. So there's definitely some liability there. And you talk about warning. You can warn about dangerous conditions, but there's a lot of jurisdictions where you can't waive negligence, and it's pretty dangerous to throw stuff at people. So it might be a better idea to hand the mic down to somebody on the front row or something, or toss the picks. Like a lot of people toss those guitar picks. That's a nice thing. To do.
You can put an eye out with that thing.
All right,
with a guitar.
But you got to flick it just right.
Yeah, you got to get. I mean, it's like a bullseye. It's a 1 in a million shot if you do it. Yeah, I know what you mean by that. So even putting a sign up saying a microphone could fly at your face, that is
at the end of this song.
Yep.
That's going to help. That's going to help, and in some jurisdictions that would be enough, but it is still potential liability in most jurisdictions to fling things off the stage.
Makes sense.
Especially if they're a heavier thing like that. I would think, handing it or throwing something lighter would be the way to go. But I thought it was really stand-up of Axl Rose to be concerned about that.
Me too.
Can I ask you this, Lisa? What if this is sort of the opposite side of the coin? Plenty of performers have gone into their crowds. Mm-hmm. Like I think Adele walks through the crowd when she's doing her new show, Residency in Las Vegas. If a performer is injured, can they sue a fan?
It depends on if the fan was doing something, dangerous, then certainly, there would be potential for that. Yeah, I mean, it's not probably going to happen, and the security, I think, is incredibly tight in those situations. True. But certainly possible. And I think there have been a number of performers injured doing the stage, when stage diving was so popular. I think there have been a number of performers hurt doing that, and they didn't really have any recourse since they chose to dive out into the audience.
Gotcha.
I just met a guy last night. Turns out to be my neighbor now.
Who are the people in your neighborhood?
In your neighborhood. In your neighborhood.
Lisa, I think you can go now. I don't think we need to.
I don't need to stick around.
I don't think you need to stay. These are billable hours. I don't think.
So how did you find out this person was your neighbor?
Well, I'll thank you, Lisa. It's always good to talk.
I'm enjoying the sound of the music.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Lisa.
Lisa.
Find her at LanierLawGroup.com or hireaheavyweight.com. I found out he was my neighbor because we had that progressive dinner party last night.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, it's great.
Well, there's nothing progressive about it. Okay.
It's a misnomer. Okay, it's
I mean,
not
it sounds it sounds upbeat, but it sounds semi-sexual.
well, and it is. It's not politically progressive.
Okay.
It's here. You progress from one house to the next in the neighborhood. For example, last night we hosted the first hour. It started at 5:00, 5 to 6, cocktails and appetizers. So we put out appetizers and drinks, and everybody came over. Okay,
How many people are we talking here?
40,
Really?
between 30 and 40.
That's sizable.
Adults only or children too?
Children were there too.
Okay.
Just a few children came, and it's everybody in the neighborhood was invited.
Did Daddy have to dress up?
I put on a sweater.
Did you put on your slacks?
I had my good jeans.
These are the ones you're wearing right now?
These are the good jeans. I'm wearing these tonight.
I know
We
there's
have
another function
we have a little
tonight.
holiday function
At
tonight.
least you didn't have your lounge pants on.
No, I did not.
And socks.
But I had to turn off the Bengals Chiefs game.
Now that hurts.
Now that,
To the wire.
you all
That was
were
a good
texting
one.
about that.
That was a good one.
You all were like, Patrick Mahomes. I was like, God dog dang.
Burrow! Mahomes!
Oh.
Back! Kelsey!
I know. And there's all sorts of. And my pocket just kept buzzing. I was like, God darn dang.
I didn't know you were entertaining.
Oh,
I'm
my
sorry.
You did not know.
No, I know. The first part I was watching, and I mean, I had it on at my house. I'll say that.
So people come by.
Okay, that come for we happen to be the
Stop
host.
one.
Appetizers and cocktails, and they had a quick little meeting because there was the HOA board is up for re-election. They passed out that. So that was at our house.
How long does that last at your house?
1 hour. 5 to 6.
Okay.
Well, but of course we ran a little bit late. So at
Yeah.
6. So what happens is then everybody goes to the next house for dinner, and we split it. Like half went to one house and half went to another. And we went over to the McGee's.
Yeah.
What they serve?
They had a good meal. It was actually delicious. Chicken marsala. They had chicken marsala and Brussels sprouts
Okay.
and a salad. And so that was really nice.
What about the other house?
The Abbots.
Hot dogs.
What do the Abbots serve?
Hot dogs, no chili, just mustard.
Fritos.
How do,
That's all you get.
how do you pick who goes to whose house? That's the fun
It was a
part.
good question.
Talk about politics.
It was-
You got to know the HOA.
It was written on my HOA ballot. It said, go to the McGee's.
You'll be going to the McGee's.
And then everybody else. So I would say.
You'll be going to the Jones.
Right, yeah. So I'd say, where are you going? They'd be like, Abbott's. Oh, you get the Abbott's. What over to McGee's? There's a rift there. So they split. So we walked to the McGee's house. Now, the McGee's lived very close to us, like 2 houses down. So that was fine. Well, then we had to go to another house for dessert. Everybody did for dessert. So it's another hour. So 6 to 7 is the dinner. But really, it was now we're
It's a
lagging
soft
on.
hour.
It's a soft hour.
On a heavy laden marsala.
Yeah. And at that time, my wife said, I can't make it to dessert.
What's that? But you have to.
I said, you have to go
You're going.
for dessert.
What did they serve at dessert house?
She first of all, she said, can we call our son to pick us up and take us to dessert?
Roughly how far is this walk?
This is about, I'm going to say that's probably a quarter mile, maybe a little over. I'd say a third of a mile.
8 houses? 10 houses?
Yeah, I'd say 10 houses.
And
Okay.
what's her limit?
3.
Did her watch go
It
off?
started going off. Say, do you need me to dial 911?
Looks like you've been in an accident.
Well,
Are you far from civilization? I see you're walking.
I texted my son and said, can you pick us up and take us to the dessert house? And he said, during this Bengals Chiefs game, are you out of your mind?
It's going to the wire.
This is the fourth
Nobody
quarter
has
now.
parties on Sunday
He's
nights
we're
like
not
this.
doing that. So he's like, no, I cannot. So we walked it. And at one point, about 3 houses ago, my wife went into a ditch and said, go without me. Just go.
Let me help you, honey.
She threw a rod.
No, go.
Just go. Just go. So then we go to the dessert house. And now by this time, it's football night in America time. They have that on the TV. And we had really good desserts. It was actually excellent. They had...
Christmas stuff?
Yes, cookies, pastries,
Okay.
a little cheesecake, stuff like that. It's really nice. I enjoyed it.
Nice.
Yeah, I enjoyed
Nice.
it. So
And
I
you
had-
actually got to meet people.
I did. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you. So at my house, at the first house, met a guy who was working security the night Steve Perry got hit here
No way.
in the 80s. And Dave was at that concert. We were talking about things being thrown at the
At performers.
He said he thought it was like a bracelet. Is that what you said it was that was thrown at Steve Perry that
Pork
time?
chop bone.
Pork chop bone. I told him. I said,
I thought the original line was it was one of those glow sticks.
Glow sticks. And I
either,
said,
either wear or around your neck or.
I don't remember glow sticks back in that day.
He said it looked like a large circular thing, bracelet. And he was down front. He was between the crowd and the stage because he was working security. And he saw it. And he said it. He's like, you know how some moments in your life are like in slow motion. He said it went in slow motion towards Steve Perry, hit him. This is a legendary story here. Perry was, and I asked him what song, Dave. What song was it he was singing? You said,
I think it was Lights.
Okay, he couldn't remember that, but it came down and hit him like in the eye, and Steve Perry, the music
stopped the show.
Stopped, and he was like, "Who did that? Who threw that?"
Was it like a 20-minute break or something?
He went out. Came back, and so he said he stopped again. He stopped a couple of times. And at one point, a group of people pointed somebody out in the audience, and it turned out that guy didn't do it. He was just so drunk, and his friends were winding him up.
Yeah.
And his friends they told him he won something, so he started running at Steve Perry and said, I did it. I did it. They never found who did it. He said at least that night, they never found who did it. He was working security.
Is he a burly fella?
Big guy. I wouldn't say burly, but muscular and big. Yeah. He was like my height almost.
It may not have been Lights. It may have been a different song. It may have been something off the new album.
I thought you said Wheel in the Sky.
I think that was Raised on Radio.
I thought it was Wheel in the Sky.
I don't remember which one it was, actually.
He also said that at a Rush show, and you would know this, Rush had these canisters that would shoot colors up into, you know what I'm talking about? Like at the front of the stage, he said they had canisters that looked like trash cans.
Yes.
That would shoot up light, some sort of...
They're called like flash pots or something.
Okay, right.
Oh, you mean like flames?
I guess. Something.
Like almost like Roman candle type.
Okay. So Rush is playing, same venue, and a young lady, is so desperate to get up on the stage, she rushes the stage and dives at it and catches onto one of those canisters.
That's hot.
Oh, no.
And one of his colleagues grabs her to pull her back off the stage, and the canister comes down and just explodes everywhere, and color and stuff goes everywhere. She wasn't hurt though, and then he said also that he fell right into her, on top of her. And he said, I thought I was crushing the poor thing, but she was okay. And then she tried to get back up there again.
Lord,
crazy.
I can't believe it.
Crazy.
A woman at a Rush show.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, wonders will never cease.
He's right about that.
Wanted to get to Geddy Lee, I guess.
Yeah.
He said she was going up there on the stage.
Which one would you go after?
I know.
I mean, there's 3 to choose from, or was.
Man, I know. But he said it was those are the 2 wildest shows he remembers. That one in particular, the Journey was just unbelievable.
There's a legendary piece of videotape of Bruce Springsteen, maybe 77 or 78 maybe 80 on stage. And I think he's performing Rosalita, and of course this is all on film. Mm-hmm. And women are jumping onto the stage and rushing on. Roadies are doing what they can to grab them as they grab Bruce and drag them off the stage, but they're simply outnumbered.
Right.
And at one point, one of the women tries to grab Bruce by the face and give him a kiss. And he's pulling away, and you can see her fingernails, all 4 or 5 fingernails just go straight across his cheek. And Bruce finally, what I've never seen him do before, he puts his hands down and goes, enough.
Yeah. And he's so friendly to the audience.
I know.
I think to me, he's one of the friendliest. Remember, he stopped his motorcycle, had a drink with that crowd a few years ago. During COVID, they were splitting whiskeys.
Yeah.
Tequila.
Doing shots.
Tequila. They're doing shots on the side of the road. That's right.
Now, that's where Chris Demm would probably where you could sue somebody that's out in the crowd. I mean, when they attack you and scratch you, I mean,
absolutely.
That's when you've got some charges.
Absolutely. Well, and Lisa says, she can get a claim against Axl Rose, possibly, for throwing that microphone into the crowd.
Broken nose, Australian.
Yeah. This is, a minute ago, we had a hero segment on. This guy's a hero, a teenager in California. A man says he had his life saved by his 15-year-old son. The truck he was working on fell on top of him. And the teenager, through whatever reason, had amazing strength all of a sudden at one time and lifted the truck off of him. The guy's name is Matthew Wilkinson. His son, Dallin Wilkinson, saved his life. These are the 2 of them talking about when the truck fell on top of him and what the guy was thinking.
Slid my body underneath the truck. The second it popped off, the truck fell right on top of me. And I'm thinking about, oh, I got a surveillance camera. So I called my kid and had him look at the surveillance camera. He lifted the truck enough for me to roll out.
I heard him make noise like his soul was leaving his body. It was crazy.
My son is my hero. He saved my life.
Guys, kid's 15 and picked the truck up off of him.
You hear about this kind of stuff from time to time.
Yes.
These superhuman
Yeah,
feats.
they come up with these lifting trucks and cars.
Is it endorphins or something? It just
feats.
causes you
Adrenaline?
adrenaline. 30 seconds, you have that kind of strength to lift up a truck.
If you're that 15-year-old, do you hold that over your dad for the rest of
Absolutely.
your high school career?
Hell yes.
I mean, is your curfew now 3 a.m.?
Yes.
You don't have one.
Listen, if a truck fell on me, my son would say, I'm sorry, the Bengals are playing the Chiefs.
If you holler through the security system,
there's no way.
he would somehow figure out a way to send some sort of gift back
I'll text
to you.
Mom.
There is no way.
Maybe she can help.
I tried to help him get me blow some leaves yesterday. And he's like, because we had this party going on, and I was like, you need.
I thought we were rich. Someone else do this.
And then he went off to Kickback Jacks. His party started at 5. He went off to Kickback Jacks, and he kept texting me, I'll be home at 3 to help you. I'll be home at 4 to help you. I'll be home at 4:30. And finally, I just wrote back and I said, son, who cares? The work is done now. It's 4:40. They're coming in 20 minutes. He wrote back to me, respect. And my friend Lucas says hello.
That's nice.
I mean, I got home before he
Played
did.
you like a fiddle.
Yeah,
He did.
Completely. So he goes off and watches football. I have a P1 who has had something similar happen. Car lifted off of him. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I was. This is back in the early '80s. I was building my car. I had a '68 Nova, and the transmission, the bolts sheared off. But anyway, the transmission fell on my chest, and we were backyarding it. And my stepdad was sitting over there on the deck, and he just took his time, grabbed a 2x4, grabbed another block of wood, pumped it up. And you talking about somebody getting up underneath the car fast.
Yeah.
I got a 300-pound transmission on my chest.
As he's walking over, taking his time, looking for a 2x4.
Finally.
You want to hustle up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even scream.
You're just
It
like,
was bad.
you're just pointing. Like, here I am.
Yeah.
Finally, we can leave the baggage behind.
I always
When I
wanted a Nova.
rebuilt the car.
I love his mama, but I hate him.
And now the Nova's mine. All mine.
I feel my son would move that slowly. I think it would be about the same. And with those spindly arms, you think he's going to lift that vehicle off of me? Although maybe my car doesn't weigh that much. That Acura, it might not weigh that much. I'm not sure.